look great for an interview, don't I? Do I? Will I? Can I? We'll see. Hi everyone, my name is Eric Cardin and welcome to another episode of Thriving After College. Today what I want to talk about is the career process. Getting from grad school to your first official career. So you probably already worked one or two jobs, had some internship experiences, and you're ready to get into your career. Because obviously it's a tough transition, and even with a master's degree, I know multiple people who have struggled, including myself, through the process. So today I want to give some tips as to how to smoothly transition and to be successful when applying for jobs. What I want to talk about first is resume and cover letter. That's how they're going to get to know you. With a resume, you also want to make sure that you not only have multiple people review it, but you also go to either the college and career center at your local school or your alma mater, so that you can really have a professional look at what you have so far, and they can give you tips as to how to make your resume and cover letter really stand out. I know they helped me a lot, and it's a free service, and anything that's free that I can get, I'm on board. Interviews can last as short as 15 minutes to as long as 3 hours. Yes, I had an interview at a local college for a 3-hour second interview. And yes, you don't always have just one interview. You might have a second interview. Yes, multiple interviews. Some of them might be phone interviews, some of them might be Skype interviews, some of them will be in-person interviews. Most likely by the second interview, it will be an in-person interview. The first interview is usually on the phone or with a HR representative, and those are fairly short and go over the general basis of who you are as a person. And then the second interview is where you go more in depth as to your experiences and how they can apply to the job that you're applying for. Going into the interview, you want to make sure to have as many resources as possible. So not only do you want to have experiences written out on a card from your past, so you want to really make sure, say if you're in an internship right now or in a job, you want to make sure to write down specific examples that tie into the career you want, because that's going to be super beneficial. You also want to make sure to do research on their website as to what the specific goals are for the workplace and what sort of things they're working on at this time. So you want to really do your research and pick out fun facts you can talk about and bring into the interview. And that really shows that you really took the time to really invest in what you're applying for. I want to recommend going on as many interviews as you can. If you can go to a career day or a college recruitment day, whatever you want to call it, go to it. They are highly beneficial and they get your name out there. They have multiple interviews within a day that you can interact with, and you can feel yourself grow as a person to be able to feel more comfortable with the interview process. One thing I want to talk about as well with interviews is that when they call the schedule for it, you want to make sure that you are able to either take that day off or be available, because they will give you sometimes a set date and time, and you have to be available for it or else you miss out on it. So if you are either in a job where it's part-time and you're flexible and able to take as many days off as you can, that's great. But if you're in a full-time position right now, make sure you ask in advance for that day off and be prepared for taking multiple days off for interviews, because they will fall on different days and times. With the job interviews, you want to make sure before you go right into the room, go to the bathroom, make sure to check yourself, make sure everything is all clean, like your suit, you have nothing on yourself, you didn't accidentally spill mustard on your tie, anything like that. You also want to make sure your cell phone is off, because I've been in an experience where my cell phone was technically on silent, but it still went off because of the voice activation that the phone has. So you know how you say like okay Google or okay whatever the phrase is, it triggered it and it started talking during the middle of the interview. So you want to make sure your phone is completely off. And then the last thing you want to do while in the bathroom is wash your hands and make sure that your hands aren't super cold or clammy, because the first thing you're doing is shaking hands with the person and you want a nice firm handshake and to feel confident in. This is so hard because I've been on so many interviews, and I want to say that even though sometimes my first or second interview felt like it went really well, my like fifth interview might have gone really bad, and that kind of brought me down. But don't let it bring you down. Just because you had one bad interview and it wasn't your first or second one doesn't mean it's the end of the world. We all have bad interviews. Every interview is different. Even though they might be similar, they are definitely different with the vibe in the room, with how many people you're staying with, how they arrange the seats. It's all very different. And with the questions they ask. Obviously, each interview has different questions. Some of them you can prepare for, such as, why are you interested in this position? That's probably the number one question that I've been asked. And tell me about yourself. You want to have a clear story as to how you came to be the person you are. Obviously, you're not telling your life story, but you're tying in what career steps you've taken to get to where you are today. Making sure that you're honest, but at the same time having a positive spin to it really goes a long way. You also want to make sure before you leave an interview that you get information from at least one of the people interviewing you. That way you can send a thank you letter the following day. Within, I would say, 48 hours, you want to make sure to send that letter. Making sure it's nice and clear, concise, and to the point, and maybe using direct examples of what you talked about in the interview can really be beneficial in a thank you letter. They really appreciate that. It's going to be okay. You're going to get the career that you want. It might take a little bit longer than you think, but you will get there. I promise you. Just keep at it. That's what my friends, that's what my family, that's what colleagues were saying to me, because they believed in me. And I had to believe in myself to really get through. And that's how I landed the career that I wanted today. And I am happy to say I've been happy for the past few months landing the career and actually thriving after college. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Have a good week, everyone. So.